I don't think the Eagles would make a snap decision in terms of firing Nick Sirianni, only because Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie both know how much the media and the fan base would rain down on them for making another inept decision in regards to what should happen to this organization. I would.
Welcome back, live post-game show. Mark Farzetta, Derek Gunn, Devin Caney with you. We are sponsored by some great people at Stateside Vodka as well. See the scroll below and use the promo code JAKIB, that's JAKIB, for 15% off 1 liter bottle of Stateside Vodka. Visit statesidevodka.com. Make sure you guys do that. So we've been talking and really airing our grievances when it comes to Nick Sirianni, when it comes to Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, and, of course, Jonathan Gannon. But when you look at this win, or excuse me, when you look at this loss and still longing for a win, the most glaring thing to me continues to be 10 days between games. And this was the best opportunity that they could have. We're going to go to some comments here. Will the Beast Davenport, thanks for joining us there. The coaching is horrible. Howie has to go for this one and get Watson. You got to get Watson. I don't know if any quarterback can be the savior of anything here. And Watson, I'm not really going after, considering what's going on with him right now. I don't really need a quarterback in that kind of headspace right there. Is that the answer here, guys?
No. I have a thought to this, kind of to add to that, because I don't think we should get Watson, aside from all of his legal troubles. I don't think that people should count on that. But someone brought up that, we do have the draft coming up, and Miami lost. Carson Wentz is looking like he's probably going to play. We're probably going to have several picks. Could we trade them for maybe an elite quarterback? And if so, who is available? Who could we get? Someone said Aaron Rodgers. I know, D-Gun, he's your guy. His name's was floated before this season started. Who would be your dream quarterback to get if we traded picks away? And should we do that, or should we just put all of our faith in Howie to make the right picks, which we know how good he is at that?
Well, first of all, we're not putting all of our faith in Howie. That's not going to happen. No, that's not going to happen. There's a possibility you could bottle up some draft picks and get yourself a frontline quarterback. But when you look at the nature of this team, that's a risky move because you need to replenish the cupboard in a number of areas. Let's say the Eagles had 3 first-round picks, and if they kept everything status quo, I would use the 3 first-round picks, number 1, on an edge rusher, number 2, a linebacker, and number 3, a cornerback. If you're going to have like 3 of the first 10 or 12 players in the draft, look at what the Dallas Cowboys did. The Cowboys used their first 6 picks and went all defense. Now, the defense is not a top 10 defense, but it's playing at a much better level than it played in last year. And look at the Cowboys' record right now. And it's because this defense, the revamped defense that they have now with a bunch of young kids, and they brought in a few free agents. They got rid of a couple of existing players. The defense is getting off the field and giving the ball back to a very elite offense right now. And that's what you need. We have seen in the past that you don't have to have a top 10 defense to be successful in this league and possibly win a Super Bowl or get to a Super Bowl. As long as you have a good defense that can get you the ball back. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys are right now. If the Eagles feel, and at this point, obviously not, that Jalen Hurts is their quarterback, then you've got to decide, all right, we've got a young receiving core. We've got a decent offensive line. We got a decent defensive front. We need linebackers. We need somebody to come off that edge. And we need another young cornerback, especially with Steve Nelson only being on a 1-year contract. So those are the areas that I would try to shore up. Now, again, you're going to go through some growing pains, but you have a core group of players that will be a year older, a year wiser. You're sprinkling in, again, 3 of the top 10 or 12 players that are coming out of the draft next year that can hit the ground running and help you right now. They don't have to sit and watch. They can help you right now. It lowers your salary cap that you can get rid of some other players. And I'm not above also considering this before the trade deadline, trying to see if you can move Fletcher Cox right now and seeing what you can get for some added draft capital, whether you're going to use it to bring in more young players or maybe try to package what you get for a Fletcher Cox and get you a quarterback, if not this year, than next year in the offseason.
So under all that, Howie Roseman's still making picks, right?
It looks like it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
This needs you totally need a rebuild. You can't, not a transition, a rebuild. And I know Jeffrey Lurie's not selling the team tomorrow because for those that don't know, owning a football team is a license to print your own money. So Jeffrey Lurie is not selling this team. That's not happening. He's not moving this team. Certainly not happening either. The other thing, you got to get rid of Howie Roseman. You got to move on from Nick Sirianni. This ain't it. And if Jeffrey Lurie's not going to sell the team, then there's only one other option. And again, that's not happening. Not doing that. You just have to hit the reset button. Howie, thanks for your time. We want a Super Bowl. There's only one way you can go forward from this. Because guess what, Howie? You're not going to survive another coaching search. We're not going to go after Reed to Chip Kelly to Doug Peterson to now Nick Sirianni, and then you're still here. You need to hit the total reset button. Here's what I know. My first inclination when watching Nick Sirianni get introduced to the Eagles fan base was, I'm not going to lose my mind over this, but that was really bad. And I can't see that guy in crucial situations during a football game seeming like a guy that has the answers. Nor can I see him in a locker room that's being lit on fire, keeping guys together. Like Doug Peterson's claim to fame, the best thing he could do, keep a locker room together when stuff was hitting the fan. That's why he was a great head coach. When it comes to everything else surrounding Nick Sirianni, there's nothing I look at that goes, that's what he does great. And I'm being serious when I say that. When it's game plan, whether it's charging up the team, whether it's adjustments within the game itself, I see none of it. So Nick Sirianni, you ain't it, man. I already can tell this. See you later. Howie Roseman not going to survive another head coaching search. So when you do have this opportunity with potentially 3 first-round picks, 2 of them really high first-round picks, I can't have Howie being the guy. Jeffrey Lurie needs to look at this at season's end, if this continues to go which the way we all think it's going to go, and hit that reset button because there's no cure-all in sight. 3 first-round picks with Howie Roseman making those decisions only puts Howie Roseman's fingerprints on this franchise longer. And since we know, and I'll state it again, Lurie's not moving on, 2 other people have to be moved on from, and that's Howie and that's Nick, because we know Nick ain't it at this point. And in all honesty, do you look at Nick Sirianni and go, yep, I can see why this guy's leading this team. I can see why he's making play calls. I can see why he's doing the job he's doing. Jonathan Gannon, a guy that was getting a lot of hype in the offseason, I haven't seen anything from him to make me go, that Jonathan Gannon guy, I can see why he should be running a defense at the NFL level. I mean, really, and you're going to trust these guys to build for the future with 3 more first-round picks possibly? I'm not. So even when you start talking about what next year can hold, getting that quarterback, right, bringing that person in, I don't see the person that's going to be the cure-all for the foreseeable future. Even, hey, you trade for Aaron Rodgers, that changes a lot. That's all right, let's party. But for the foreseeable future, there's not one person I look at and go, oh, yeah, that's the person I trust to make those football decisions to make sure that this team continues to build a great team going forward. Not one person. So that's why I look at these potential 3 first-round picks, and I go, all right, whoever wants to come in here and run this team from a football operations standpoint, from a head coaching standpoint, a lot of people, as if the Philadelphia Eagles aren't a desirable job already just to coach in a market like this, just to run player personnel in a market like this. But you also have 3 first-round picks at your disposal. Oh, yeah, I'll come coach for that. I'll come direct player personnel, knowing that I have that in my back pocket to get started. That's a hell of a starting point if you're looking to come in and take over a team.
Yeah.
I will refer back to this. After Doug Peterson's first year, a lot of people wanted to run him out of town. Can't make decisions. Can't come up with crucial plays. What's he doing on the sidelines? He's not a play caller. And the Eagles front office stood their ground. And, oh, by the way, he won a Super Bowl his second year. Okay? Now, obviously, look at that situation. Look at the players they brought in for that Super Bowl run. A LeGarrette Blount in the offseason, a Jay Ajayi, Alshon Jeffrey. They had all these players that they were able to bring in because Howie was able to pick off the free agent market. He's going to have that cap space again this offseason to pick off the free agent market. He's going to have better draft positioning this year to fill in some holes as well with youth. I'm not saying that they would be a Super Bowl contender next year, but I do believe that they will be a much better product on the field. Now, people will say, what do you mean? You got Nick Sirianni as a head coach. On my pregame show on 97.5 today, I can't even begin to tell you how many people were hitting me up on Twitter saying, fire Sirianni, fire Gannon, fired. And I don't disagree with him. Very rarely does it happen that a head coach gets fired after just one season. But when you take into consideration that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman have been left with enough egg on their faces over the last couple of years because of draft picks or lack thereof, and things not working out the way they could, and the fact that they also had 2 years in a row they were decimated by injuries. All right, we're dealing with injuries again this year. We dealt with the offensive line shuffling again early on this year, and now Miles Sanders is down. We don't know how long he's going to be out. And I was told a little while ago that the reason Lane Johnson left the game today was because he re-aggravated that ankle injury that he had surgery on this offseason. So now you got to deal with that as well. I don't think the Eagles would make a snap decision in terms of firing Nick Sirianni, only because Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie both know how much the media and the fan base would rain down on them for making another inept decision in regards to what should happen to this organization. I would think they would give Nick at least 2 years to show what he could do. All right, Nick, we know you're at a deficit right now. You know, your left tackle's playing right tackle. Your starting left guard is out for the season. You've been missing your starting right guard forever. I get that. Your best pass rusher is out for the season as well. And, you know, just hold on, Nick. We're going to give you a second chance. And so, you know, as much as people are clamoring and screaming for Sirianni and his coaching staff to be fired, I don't think Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie would make that move after this year.
Do you think that they should? Because from
Yes.
yes, we've made that clear.
Question, yes, go ahead. Yes.
Well, but Derek, I want to ask you about something you said about Howie, where he said he picked off the free agent market, and he did a good job before he won the Super Bowl. And I know was working with minimal cap space. So are you saying if he has the means and he has these draft picks, which I also agree, I think they should go all defensive talent, at least early on in the draft, if they use those picks. Are you saying that, like, if he has his resources, you believe in Howie Roseman and you think he should stay?
Oh, you'll never get me to admit that publicly. Oh no, you're not.
But I think I caught it. I think I caught it in there.
There we go. We got resident Howie Roseman fan Derek Gunn. I think that's what we have here.
I want you to double down.
Oh, you're both attacking me now? Okay, I understand my ground here. No, what I'm saying is this: Howie pulled it off once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lightning could hit twice in the same place. You know, obviously 4 years apart, 5 years apart, but it could happen again. I'm saying these are unusual circumstances now. No, I've watched Howie Roseman draft year in and year out, and I've watched some of the mistakes he's made. For every one he's gotten right, he's gotten 3 or 4 wrong. I get that. You know, they need to be somebody in here, which they had in Joe Douglas, who's now gone, who knows the draft and who knows players a little bit better than Howie. Howie should not have the final say in a draft room. But I'm saying there's a possibility he could get it right. For whatever reason, Jeffrey Lurie protects him. Howie Roseman's not going anywhere right now. And when you look at how Nick Sirianni got hired, it's because certain coaches weren't coming here. Arthur Smith wasn't coming here. Brandon Staley with the Chargers wasn't coming here. You know, they didn't want to interview. So you had a limited amount of coaches that you could possibly pick from to come in here. So if you do it again after this year, what are you telling potential coaches? Hey, I don't want to. Oh, I don't want to be a part of this mess. Word gets around. So if a Nick Sirianni leaves here, and Nick Sirianni knows a lot of people in this league. Hey, Nick, was it really that bad? What do you think Nick Sirianni is going to say? So a lot of people, the Eagles might even want to interview, may not even want to be interviewed to come here. So you're right back at square one again. You're going to get somebody else with no experience head coaching, like a Nick Sirianni. You're going to go through this all over again? No. You got, I think, to a certain degree, as bad as it is, you have to weather the storm. And I know a lot of people are suspect about Sirianni right now, and I'm not saying Sirianni is head coach material, but you at least have a guy in place. He has a core group of players who will return, who will know his system. You want to have, if Jalen Hurts is here, do you want to have Jalen Hurts learning 3 different offensive systems in less than 3 years? You don't want that. Yeah. You know, there's got to be some kind of continuity here, whether it's good or bad. You have to have some type of continuity here. And I know people don't want to hear it, and I know people don't want, right now, if you go on Twitter right now, Instagram, Facebook, I guarantee you it's burning up. Fire everybody associated with this Eagles organization. And I understand why, because this fan base deserves better. And this fan base is intelligent enough, passionate enough, and football smart enough to know that even if the product is bad, if they're trying, if they're competitive for 4 quarters, we can stomach that for now with hopes that it's going to be better on the other side.
I don't have hope though. And I think
because you're the eternal pessimist.
But I got to call it like I see it as well. This is the worst coaching job I've ever seen. Right. In all honesty, like that's not me like trying to go for top shelf of like a hot take or this is horrible. Like Doug Peterson wasn't this bad. And look, you can talk about introductory press conference, all that stuff. You can talk about Doug Peterson. His first year was not great. I was not one of those people saying fire Doug Peterson after his first year. He wasn't great his first year either, but he wasn't this terrible. This is dreadful. And also in Doug Peterson's first year, people forget Lane Johnson got hurt that year, or not hurt. He got busted for PEDs, 10-game suspension, and that's when the wheels started falling off the wagon big time for that Eagles offense and really the Eagles team in general. And then they bounced back the following year after he listened to his players say run the football. They ran the football and they were able to make it to a Super Bowl, and he had a great coaching performance. We all know the history there. But Nick Sirianni, he finds something that they do well and then he gets away from it. He finally has 10 days to look on everything in between these last 2 games, comes out with it, gives us that hope. And I was on the edge of my seat going, thank goodness. All right. You root to be wrong a lot of times, especially, if you, Devin, if you grew up here and you root for the Eagles, right? That whole thing, you root to be wrong a lot of times because you have to call it like you see it, but hopefully you're wrong. That first drive, I went, all right, they ran the ball 5 times for 25 yards. You got the touchdown with Kenny Gainwell, though it was a pass, fine, whatever. You use the run to set up the pass. I mean, how novel is that? I said earlier, I don't think a tight end got a target till way late in this game in the second half. 1 target, excuse me. It was the completion to Dallas Goedert that was set up by an actual textbook play action under center, fake the handoff over the head of the defense for a 20-yard gain to Dallas Goedert. Brilliant. And then you never saw that again for the rest of the game. That is egregious coaching, horrid play calling. There's no excuse for it.
There's a lot of truth to what you're saying, but I would also counter with this. Number one, I don't know if Nick Sirianni's head coaching material, based on what we've seen, the samples we've seen so far, I have a lot of question marks about his ability to be a head coach and a leader of a professional football team. But you look at the way some of their games unfolded. Nick Sirianni's not out there dropping the passes. Nick Sirianni's not out there overthrowing. Nick Sirianni's not out there having touchdowns negated because of stupid penalties. Nick Sirianni is not out there with the 22 guys who are responsible for being the most penalized team in the National Football League. Nick Sirianni is not the one who snapped the ball at the 1-yard line. The guard deflects it. The quarterback doesn't get it. And all of a sudden, that series ends there because of that. Yes, you have to be a leader and you have to hold people accountable, but it goes way beyond that. Okay, it goes way beyond just the coaching staff. The players have to take accountability on themselves, and a lot of this falls in the players' laps as well. I know fans are screaming for the coaches' heads, but a lot of this falls in the players as well for not executing what they've been given.
All right, let's go to this thing real quick. So you mentioned earlier, and I agree with you, and it's what Nick Sirianni said. It's not even an opinion, a statement of fact. He talked about the game plan. He talked about where Jalen Hurts is most comfortable. Shotguns where he's most comfortable. He looked pretty comfortable under center in this particular game. And in that first drive, look, I'm gonna beat it till so we can't anymore. That first drive, a guy that's not comfortable under center turns around on a play action, perfect pass to Dallas Goedert. You mean to tell me that's uncomfortable? Then by all means, make him as uncomfortable as possible.
That's what I say.
And I'll say this again. We talked about the banged-up offensive line. The offensive line over the last couple of games without Lane Johnson, without Brandon Brooks, by moving Jordan Mailata to right tackle and bringing in Andre Dillard at left tackle, the offensive line, yes, they've had penalties. That's true. But as far as being able to run the ball or move the football, they have been okay. They haven't been a huge detriment.
But what has been the biggest detriment? They shoot themselves in the foot.
Certainly.
They are their own worst enemies. The penalties, the drop balls, the overthrows, the ability to allow people just run up and down their gut, the inability to get off the field in third down in crucial situations. That falls into players.
Oh, it certainly does. It certainly does.
See, to me, there's no dogs on this team. You got to have some dogs on this team.
Ooh.
Remember a few years.
I think Jason Kelsey's a dog, my friend.
I was just going to say.
You don't have enough dogs on this team?
You don't have enough dogs.
Okay, who do you have outside of Javon Hargrave and Jason Kelsey? Who?
Someone just commented and said Fletch was pretty fired up in his press conference after the game. But I was just going to say the lowest point in me for this game that we just watched wasn't even like, well, I guess it technically was during a play, is when Jason Kelce, his helmet came off.
There you go.
And we never really see him like that. And that just to see, it was sad. He just seemed frustrated. And I get it was about like, it wasn't, he didn't take his helmet off and it wasn't his fault. But like that aside, he just seemed kind of like he was conveying the emotions we were all feeling watching them. And to see a leader like Jason Kelce, who I mean, we saw his comments on Ben Simmons earlier this week. Like he is the ultimate Philly athlete. And to see him so frustrated and upset was definitely the lowest point to me. That was when I was like, we've lost them forever.
Go back to the last game. Remember in the fourth quarter when the Eagles were pinned deep in their own territory and a play went for a loss. It was a hitch pass or something, went for a loss. You saw Jason Kelce walk back to the hole and he threw his hand up in the air like this. Like that didn't work. And I tweeted out during the game today, and it's coming. If it keeps on this course, it's coming. I said it's time for another epic Jason Kelce speech. And I think it's coming. I think it's coming within the next couple of weeks when we hear another symbolic Jason Kelce speech on, we got to do much better. And it could be a profanity-laced speech. I wouldn't put it past Jason Kelce because we what we heard at the Super Bowl. And of course, when Kelce has spoken other times when things have gone bad, sometimes you got to hit the bleep button. But I think it's coming, and I don't blame him because if this is his last year as a professional athlete, this is not the way he wants to go out. Even if this team did make the playoff, if you could walk off that field for the final time, feeling good about, I and my teammates gave it everything they had, it just didn't work out. But you don't want to go out like this. You don't want to go out being one of the worst teams in the National Football League. And you're right. To see what Kelce did after that play, where he got that unsportsmanlike penalty, that's un-Kelce-like. Because he knows how to maintain his composure as well as anybody in the league. But, we're all human and, we get frustrated and sometimes frustrations reach a boiling point where we just can't contain it anymore. And I think that's the point Jason Kelce is at right now.
All right, coming up in a second, we're going to run through some of the stuff from Nick Sirianni's press conference. We're also going to run through this particular play that we're talking about with Jason Kelce for a couple of reasons. One, it allows us to vent our frustrations at something other than just the Philadelphia Eagles. And the other, the positive thing to take out of it is try to tell Jason Kelce he doesn't care about what happens with this Eagles team this year, because that'd be damn near impossible. That's what's coming up next on Live Postgame Show, which is brought to you by Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the live show. Go for the win. More live post-game show on 6abc.com as well as the JAKIB Media YouTube channel when we return.